Hello everyone, Happy New Year, and this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3, back here with a new video, and this is my review of WCW's Sin 2001. So yes, this is the beginning of the end for WCW, and this is the first of the final 3 WCW pay-per-views ever. Anyway, Sin took place on January 14th, 2001 at the Conseco Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, yes, this show has some good stuff on it, and this show tends to have some pretty bad stuff on it, and the bad stuff is really bad. Well, the good stuff is, well, pretty good. Anyway, the commentary team for this show consists of Tony Schiavone and Scott Hudson. So yeah, it's Scott Hudson and Tony Schiavone as the two-man commentary team. I'm kind of glad we got 2 people doing commentary instead of 3 for this show. And that's saying a lot since this is just coming into 2001 and coming off of that crap that was 2000. So, on to the show. We begin Sin with a match for the Cruiserweight Championship as the challenger, Sugar Shane Helms, takes on the champion, Chavo Guerrero Jr. And now, Shane Helms had just earned the opportunity to face Chavo Guerrero at Sin after winning a number 1 contenders match on Nitro against his 3-count partner in crime, Shannon Moore. And right before we get into the match, Shane is telling Shannon, look, I gotta do this on my own, and Shannon's like, I understand. And then Shane Helms comes out, and he's coming out with these lime green pants. And then out comes Chavo. No longer is he associated with the MIA. No longer is he Lieutenant Loco. Now he's back being Chavo Guerrero Jr. And for an opening match, this match was really, really, really good. This was a really good opening match to start this show off. It felt like a throwback. A throwback to the days when WCW was on top of the mountain. It felt like a throwback, this match did. This match for the Cruiserweight title felt like something you'd see out of 1997 or 1998. Back when the Cruiserweight division was good. And it really showed here with the strong performance by Chavo Guerrero and Shane Helms. Shane Helms is doing everything he can to try to win the championship, but in the end, Chavo Guerrero reverses the Nightmare on Helm Street, which that was Shane Helms' finisher, into a brainbuster, and Chavo Guerrero gets the win. And, oh yeah, little known fact, Chavo Guerrero was the choreographer for the wrestling scenes in the recent film The Iron Claw. So, Chavo gets a film credit to his name already. Even if he didn't star in the movie, he gets it as a choreographer. So, I gotta give props to Chavo Guerrero for that. Now, we get into a backstage segment from earlier. Earlier on in the day, Ric Flair, the boss of WCW, is out in the parking lot. He is being interviewed by Mike Tenay, so Mike Tenay is trying to get a word with the boss, Ric Flair, about who the mystery opponent is for the 4-way dance for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship later on in the night. And Ric Flair said, yes, the time is upon us, but you just gotta wait and see a little bit longer. Not spilling any beans to Mike Tenay. So not telling Mike Tenay who the mystery man is. And then we get into a backstage interview as Mean Gene is interviewing Big Vito, and and Johnny the Bull, and Big Vito is getting ready for his match against Reno. So yeah, it's a battle of the brothers, and Big Vito is talking about all the things Reno had just taken from him. Yeah, you took my girlfriend, you stole my car. It don't matter. To me, at the end of the day, I'm gonna beat your ass. But then, of course, we get into the actual match itself following the interview, and oh yeah, Johnny the Bull is banned from ringside. So it's Big Vito versus Reno, and this match sucked. Okay? Reno just... I don't know, okay? I don't understand what WCW saw in Reno exactly. Reno wins with the roll of the dice, and that's about it. You know, nothing really eventful with this match. Then we see Mike Sanders backstage, and he's paying Chronic money. You know, he's talking to Bryan Adams. He and Bryan Adams were arguing, and he tells Bryan Adams, I got a job for you and your partner, you know, for my commissionership match later on tonight against Ernest Miller. Then Mike Sanders leaves to go get ready for his match for the WCW commissionership with Ernest Miller. And then Brian Clark comes back with an envelope full of money, and Bryan Adams is like, hey, where'd you get that? And he said, I got us a better offer. And of course, yeah, the money is much larger. Okay, now we get into our next match. This was an impromptu match added on to Sin, and it is a tag team match as the Young Dragons, Yang and Kaz Hayashi, defeat the team of Jamie Noble and Evan Courageous. And this was a really good tag team match. I'm not going to lie, another good match on this show. This is like the second... It's like the second time we get a good match on this show. It's like, okay, you get a good match here, then a bad match, then a good match, then another bad match. Yeah, it was very inconsistent with this pay-per-view. I'm not gonna lie. So all four of these guys are just putting their bodies on the line. I forgot who the woman was that came out with the Young Dragons. I can't remember her name. I thought they said it on commentary, but there was this lady who came out with them. Let me know in the comment section below if you knew the name of the woman who came out with the Young Dragons. Who was at ringside with them. So all four of these guys just put on a clinic here. And in the end, it was Yang who rolled up Jamie Noble for the 1-2-3, and the Young Dragons take the victory. But, of course, the sore losers of Courageous and Noble they end up attacking the Young Dragons, and then that was that. After everything, you thought a show of respect was going to be shown, but apparently not. Now we are coming backstage, and we get an interview with Jeff Jarrett, who talks about how how he is not going to turn his back on Scott, how he's going to have Scott Steiner's back in this four-way dance for the world title, even though Jeff is one of the competitors in that world title match. And oh, don't worry, we'll get to that world title match in a second. And now we get into our match for the WCW Commissionership. As you got Mike Sanders taking on Ernest the Cat Miller with Miss Paisley. Oh yes, and did I forget to mention, if Mike Sanders wins, he also gets Paisley. Mike Sanders comes out and he starts cutting a promo. calling the crowd of Indianapolis a bunch of hicks. Then Ernest the Cat Miller comes out with Miss Paisley. And then, of course, you see the boo-yays of both Ernest the Cat Miller and Mike Sanders climbing the top of the top turnbuckle, and the crowd is cheering for Ernest the Cat Miller and then booing the hell out of Mike Sanders. Then Mike Sanders jumps Ernest Miller and the match is on. Of course, in true fashion, Mike Sanders has his goon squad come out in the form of the Natural Born Thrillers is Sean Stasiak and Mark Jindrak. Yes, you have Jindrak and Stasiak come out to jump Ernest Miller, and then Chronic comes out to help Ernest Miller. Yes, and Ernest Miller is the one who ended up paying Chronic the larger sum of money. Anyway, the Cat ends up getting the victory on Mike Sanders, and now Ernest Miller is now the new WCW commissioner. Okay, their match, it was stupid. The feud was stupid at Halloween Havoc, and it was stupid here too. The match was stupid here too. Between this one and the one at Halloween Havoc, I think the one from Halloween Havoc was much worse, and I think this one was a little bit better, but that's not saying much. Like, who gives a crap about Mike Sanders anyway? Not me. I'm sure not everyone gave a damn about Mike Sanders and the Natural Born Thrillers. Well, some of them Natural Born Thrillers anyway. All right. So, now we are getting into our next match, and it is a penalty box match. So our next match is a penalty box match. As Team Canada, Mike Awesome, Primetime Elix Skipper, and Lance Storm, the team captain, along with Major Guns, takes on the Filthy Animals, Conan, Tigress, Rey Mysterio Jr., and Billy Kidman. And this penalty box match has the special guest referee of Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who's no longer part of Team Canada. And I'm still asking, what were they thinking turning Hacksaw Jim Duggan heel? The guy ain't a heel. He's never been a heel. Why'd they ever try to turn him heel? I don't know. So, Duggan breaks down the rules of this match. Any illegal double teaming or anything outside the ring, your ass is going into the penalty box, as he tells both teams. So, yeah, this match was actually really entertaining from start to finish. Duggan actually does a good job guest refereeing this, just calling this match straight down the middle. The penalty boxes were used to great effect. One of my favorite spots in the match was on the outside of the ring when Tigress squirts baby oil onto Major Guns, and then they get into a cat fight. Conan tries to pull Tigress off Major Guns, and that led to both her and Conan getting thrown in the penalty box. The penalty box was used a lot in this match. And in the end, it was Lance Storm who got the victory via submission when he put Billy Kidman in a half crab in the center of the ring, and Billy Kidman wasn't able to get to the ropes or anything, so he tapped out. So really fast-paced, really amazing match here, really entertaining match here. So I gotta give the penalty box match its due. It was a really fun match to watch. And then we cut backstage again, to Mike Sanders, the sore loser after losing the WCW commissionership, telling the cat that it's not over. And then Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo said that we are going to win the tag team titles off of the insiders tonight. So the insiders better watch their backs. And then of course, we cut back to the insiders' dressing room as they have a TV set up or have a monitor set up in their dressing room, and we're watching them stretch to get ready for their match later on tonight against the Natural Born Thrillers. Now we get into our next match, and it is for the WCW Hardcore Championship, as Terry Funk defends against Crowbar and Ming. Now, it started off just being Crowbar versus Terry Funk in this feud, as it was just starting off being Crowbar and Terry Funk, and Crowbar talked about how he looked up to Terry Funk and everything, and how he wants to replace Terry Funk as the new lead of Hardcore, as the new king of Hardcore. But of course, inserting himself into this storyline, of course, was Ming. And Ming ends up stealing the Hardcore title. Like, he didn't win the belt properly from Terry Funk. No, he just literally took it. And the championship committee and the boss Ric Flair were scared to take the belt off of Ming, to take the belt away from Ming. So this is why we got this match at Sin. So Ming comes out first with the title belt. Then, of course, Terry Funk comes out. It's weird that the champion's coming out second. But anyway, Terry Funk, the Hardcore champion, gets annoyed by Daphne, as Daphne then spills water into Terry Funk's face, and then Terry Funk pulls her over the guardrail, only to then get jumped by Crowbar, and thus the match is on. The match is on for the Hardcore title. Terry Funk and Crowbar are brawling, and then slowly making his way, taking his sweet time, is Ming. But anyway, Crowbar and Funk begin brawling into the women's bathroom backstage. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing a mop bucket get used. We're seeing trash cans being used. Of course, we're going to see a trash can or two be used in this match. This Hardcore title match was so freaking wild. It starts off the battle in the girls' bathroom, and then all of a sudden it escalates back into the arena. We see Terry Funk body slam Crowbar on a guardrail, and the guardrail snapped in half around Crowbar, but Crowbar still managed to get out of it. Okay, we saw weapons be used in the ring. This was really entertaining from start to finish, but in the end, Ming gets the victory, knocks out Crowbar with a standing sidekick, and then puts the Tongan death grip on Terry Funk, and now Ming is the new WCW Hardcore champion. Of course, that didn't last long enough with Ming being the Hardcore champion, because Ming would return to the WWF as Haku, and he would take part in the Royal Rumble that same month. So yeah, basically a week after Sin, he ends up appearing in the Royal Rumble. Damn. And that's saying a lot. Now we get an interview backstage as Sid Vicious is being interviewed by none other than Mean Gene. As Mean Gene is interviewing Sid Vicious, Sid talks about how he's the original madman of WCW, and gives a stern warning to all 3 of his opponents later on tonight in the world title bout. And then, of course, you cut backstage as Goldberg is with Ric Flair as they are watching Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell enter the arena, enter the parking lot, talking about all the ways they are going to try to screw over Goldberg in this tag team match that has Goldberg's career on the line that will happen later on tonight. And Ric Flair decides, hey, Bill, you know what? I'm going to make your match a no DQ. And Bill's like, thank you. And then Goldberg shakes Ric Flair's hand, and then a fan is there backstage, and he asks Goldberg for an autograph and then a picture. Trust me, we're getting there. We'll be getting there into the bad stuff eventually. So, now we're getting into our tag team title match for the World Tag Team Championships. As the champions, the Insiders, Kevin Nash and Diamond Dallas Page defend their World Tag Team Championships against the Natural Born Thrillers is Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire. But then, of course, Mike Sanders comes out with Palumbo and O'Haire and the rest of the Natural Born Thrillers, along with Reno, Stasiak, and frickin' Mark Jindrak. And then Sanders, the ex-WCW commissioner, because he lost his commissionership earlier on in the night against Ernest Miller, said this, saying, you know, we can tag any fresh man in. It's both you guys against any one of us. But then Ric Flair says, Sanders, you lost your commissionership earlier on, so no, we are not going to do that. So you and the rest of the Natural Born Thrillers, get the hell out of here. It's only going to be Palumbo and O'Haire who are going to wrestle Nash and Page. And so we get the match, and so the tag team title match is on. And I gotta say, for most of this match, it was really enjoyable for the most part. Up until the finish when Lex Luger came out and, you know, he's brawling in the crowd with Diamond Dallas Page. He distracts Diamond Dallas Page. And then right as Kevin Nash is going to try to put Sean O'Haire away, Buff Bagwell in a gray jumpsuit hits Kevin Nash in the head with a monkey wrench, knocking out Kevin Nash. And then Sean O'Haire hits the Shanton Bomb. 1, 2, 3. O'Haire and Palumbo are now your new tag team champions. They're the new World Tag Team Champions. Okay. So now we're getting into the last 3 matches of this show. And these last 3 matches absolutely suck. Yes. Alright, we already dealt with some crap on this show already. Earlier on with stuff like the Mike Sanders and Mike Sanders and Ernest Miller match from earlier, as well as the Vito and Reno match from earlier. So now we get into, get this, our next match is a first blood chain match with the chain suspended above the ring, as the franchise Shane Douglas defeats General Hugh G. Rection, who's the U.S. champion, by the way. Let that sink in. So, okay, the match, so for weeks, Shane Douglas had not only been attacking huge General Rection, but also been busting him open with a chain. And of course, General Rection's like say, no more games. So yes, there is a chain above the ring. Shane Douglas comes out. He cuts a promo saying, "Hey, General Rection, come and get franchised." And then General Rection comes out. Alright. So, okay, the referee... So, General Rection tells the referee before the match starts, check his tights. And what do you know? Shane Douglas had a chain in his tights, despite the fact there's already a chain hanging above the goddamn ring. Why do you have a chain in your tights if there's already a chain hanging above the goddamn ring for you to retrieve? Anywho, it goes as what you expect this type of match to have. Both men are just brawling around each other, and you hear Scott Hudson say, check him, check him, check him, check him, check him. I get it, it's a first blood match, okay? We get it. And so, guess who gets the chain from above the ring? Yeah, it's Huge Erection who gets the chain. General Rection gets the chain above the ring as he climbs the ladder, but Shane Douglas pushes the ladder down and knocks the referee down. And then, instead of taking the chain from Huge Erection, guess what? Douglas had another chain in his own goddamn boot. Or in his knee pad, I will. And then used it to wrap it around his fist, nail Huge Erection in the head. Then the referee sees it, and Shane Douglas is now your new U.S. champion. Because he had just busted open... Huge Erection, and now is the U.S. champion. And I have to ask, why did we have to have a goddamn chain above the ring why did the chain have to be hung above the ring if there was going to be a chain used already with Shane Douglas having his own chains? How many goddamn chains did Shane Douglas even bring with him? You know what? Never mind. Because now we get into our next match, and it is a tag team match with Goldbergs Career on the line. If Goldberg and Sarge Dwayne Bruce lose to Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell's team of Totally Buff, then Goldberg is fired from WCW. He's gone. He's fired. If Goldberg cannot continue the streak, he would be fired. He would be banished from WCW forever. So you got Totally Buff coming out first, because of course Totally Buff would come out first. I mean, they've already played a role in screwing over Nash and Page out of the Tag Team Championships earlier on tonight, and so they want to continue. And so they want to continue their path of destruction, sort of. As they want to be the ones to end Goldberg's career. So the first of the team of So first, Sarge comes out first. And he's got a cast on his arm. Oh yes, did I forget to mention Sarge Dwayne Bruce is actually the head trainer of the WCW's power plant. Yes, he may not have been... This is like the first time he's ever been in a main event, let alone on a big stage like this. I mean, Tony Schiavone acknowledged the fact that Sarge never was a main event guy. And then out comes Goldberg in typical Goldberg fashion. So now it's no disqualifications. Goldberg's career is on the line. So, okay. We have the whole no disqualifications stipulation in play here, because it was made official by Ric Flair earlier on when he was talking with Goldberg. And so, the match ends when Buff Bagwell goes over by that same fan who asked Goldberg for an autograph. Then Goldberg comes in and punches Buff Bagwell. Then the fan sprays Goldberg in the eyes, revealing that he himself was the secret plan that Buff Bagwell and Lex Luger were counting on. So this guy maces Goldberg in the eyes. And then, together with Luger and Buff, they bring Goldberg back into the ring, and they hit a top rope bluff buster. And both men cover Goldberg for the 1-2-3. Goldberg is fired. He still got mace in his eyes. He's fired. He's being escorted out.
Are you done?
Not yet. So Goldberg is fired. And now we get into our next match, and we're getting into it. And this is the most well-known reason why I wanted to do the show. And that is this main event. And it's the main event for the world title. It's a 4-way dance. So we have Scott Steiner, Jeff Jarrett, Sid Vicious, and the Mystery Man. Scott Steiner, before this, had an interview with Mean Gene talking about how Ric Flair has stacked the gauntlet against him. And so, okay. First we had Jeff Jarrett come out. Then Sid Vicious came out. And then Scott Steiner came out with Madeja. Yes, you have the World Heavyweight Champion Scott Steiner with his favorite freak, Madeja. And now we're supposed to get into bringing out the Mystery Man, and Ric Flair's music hits. Ric Flair shows up on the stage and he says, "Steiner, I told you I got a big surprise for you." And then Steiner tries to go after Ric Flair. Sid Vicious comes after Steiner. And the match is on, and it starts off just being a 3-way. We still haven't gotten the Mystery Man yet. Even though Ric Flair went and picked him up, we know that the Mystery Man's still there in the limousine, backstage. And so far, it's been mostly just a 2-on-1 handicap match, with the world title at stake here. And yeah, this match absolutely sucks, because in this match, Sid Vicious, if you don't know what happened in this match, famously broke his leg in this match. Like, the leg not only was it just looked nauseating just looking at this. So apparently Sid injured his leg doing a top rope bicycle kick, and the bone snapped in his left leg. So his left leg is broken. Or was it his right leg? It was one of Sid's legs that got broken. I think it was his right leg that got broken. Anywho, the Mystery Man ends up coming out, and once the Mystery Man ends up coming out, he nails Sid in the back of the head, And then Scott Steiner gets the 1, 2, 3. Scott Steiner is still your world champion. And then the Mystery Man unmasked to reveal that he was Road Warrior Animal. And yes, Road Warrior Animal is back in WCW, and we hadn't seen Road Warrior Animal since 1996 in WCW. Or was it 1996? Yeah, it was like early 1997 we hadn't seen Road Warrior Animal in WCW. I think it was like the end of 96 or the end of 97. Or the beginning of 97 that we hadn't seen Road Warrior Animal in WCW. So now Road Warrior Animal is in WCW. And so, yeah. That was Sin 2001, and I gotta say, why? The main event sucked horribly. It was so stupid. It had one of the worst injuries ever to happen in Sid's broken leg. Not to mention, you have Goldbergs' career that just ends. And ends at the hands of frickin' Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell. But there was some good stuff on this show that's worth the watch. So, yeah, Sin 2001 kickstarts the year of WCW. But don't worry, it gets better from here, because my next pay-per-view, well, it's time we go on a high note with Super Brawl 3 in February. That's right, the 3rd edition of Super Brawl. Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I will see you guys next time. See ya!